And welcome to another jam-packed edition of the MuniciPALS. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Philip.
Oh, Philip, we have lots to discuss. Let's not waste time. We've dispensed our pleasantries. Let's
Can we
get
waste a moment of time?
sure for you anything.
Yeah. I only just wanted to talk about, of course, it being my plan here was to lie and refer to this as the month of fools, in that it's a continuous month of tomfoolery. That's not true. We only have one day of foolery, and in fact that ends at noon, April 1st. But I just wanted to give a small shout out to what I thought was some very positive political April Fool shenanigans. I told you a bit about it earlier today. But so we've got from St. Catharines, the mayor of St. Catharines, Mayor Matt Cisco. He put out a video basically where he's talking about the chains of office being very outdated, very old school, and he wants to modernize the whole thing. So he gets out a wrestling belt and he challenges the mayor of Niagara Falls to a match. And anyways, that's good political April Fooling. That's all I'm saying. Uh, we had a lot of blog TOs trying to do April Fools, and a lot of those were like, "Hey, here's a policy thing that you'll maybe like, uh, but the joke is, but we're writing this on April 1st, so it's not a real thing. Like that's not an April Fools, you assholes. You need to be weird about it." And that's all I wanted to say about the state of Canada and April Fools. With the exception, of course, of that the mayor of Niagara Falls also made an April Fool saying that they were going to shut down the falls for the eclipse, and people thought that was real. Very unfortunate because they wanted to be funny.
Before we get started, I just want to grab your quick thoughts. There was a tweet circulating earlier this week. We talked about it briefly earlier. I'm talking about the potential closing of Marineland. And I'd love to know how you feel about it. And then I got a story I'd like to tell.
I'm excited for the story. I've got to say, the closing of Marineland seems like it's something that everyone who at this point in the year, in our in our Lord's 2024, prior to this closure announcement, who the hell was pro Marineland? And it felt like nobody cared about it as a facility. People only saw it as like abuse of these animals. Like it's kind of a you guys are just finally reading the room.
Personally, I'm like, who gives a shit about Marineland? Honestly, I've been there twice. Um, I took my kids there when they were very young, very young. I doubt they even remember it. But I was there for the first time when I was 11 years old, and uh, kind of the only thing that I really remember about it is that I was eating a hot dog and I got stung by a bee on my ear, and I was so pissed off. And uh, so I mean, that's all I really. When
So
I think of
nothing
Marineland, that's
nothing
what I think of.
memorable with the whales.
No, because okay, so after I had gotten stung, I went and sat down and was watching that shit, but I was too much in pain.
You were
It's
so
like,
focused on the bee sting.
right, because I'm 11, right, and I'm in pain, and I just wanted to stop, and I couldn't give two fucks about the whales. To be honest with you, it's like I was talking to someone earlier this week, and they're like, "This is our free willy moment. Let's free them back into the ocean," and I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." What's but because the argument, okay, so this is the political issue that I take issue with.
Okay.
So the argument is that it's not only the abuse, alleged abuse. We have to say alleged. Do we? Yeah, I think we do.
I
It's
don't listen. I don't think we'll get in trouble if we're like very strong in our rhetoric. If we're just like, oh, these guys were whipping the dolphins in between sets. No, I mean, okay, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe it's better if we say alleged,
so it's
alleged whipping of dolphins.
so it's not just the alleged abuse, it's the captivity. And I'm like, excuse me, Toronto Zoo, African lion safari,
we
they're
have
in,
there are purposes to this sort of like conservation, right? And like that's what zoos kind of are, especially for animals that are like in danger. Sorry I interrupted you. I
no,
just
no.
but I don't I'm not under the impression that marine land functioned in the same way as a zoo does.
Correct, because they make money, and I think I'm not sure if the zoo's not nonprofit.
I think it's I believe good question.
We'll have to
We are not experts on the zoo, but you'll
anyone that
listen to
wants
our opinion anyways.
anyone that wants to help us out, let us know if the zoo is for profit or non-profit. But in the meantime, let's say rest in peace, Marineland. Maybe because it's still potential, right? We haven't heard for sure. It's just it's been. I heard that employees are getting laid off.
See, obviously, it's like here I am going like, yo, yeah, fuck marine land, it can go. And then it's like, oh right, the real human impact of any kind of facility like this closing down. Like I'm laughing, but obviously it's like it's a serious situation. You know, that's people's livelihoods. Now, that's essentially I mean, I feel that way about a lot of things, you know, in the same way that I'm not crazy about the police budget. There's an element of it that it's like, okay, well, it's paying people's wages. I know we're gonna get to a conversation about that as well, but just on principle, it's the it's wages for people that I'm gonna feel bad about. You're right to point it out because I wasn't thinking of it. I was just thinking, yo, fuck marine land.
All right, well, let's move along. We're going to start municipally today because I mean, the last few shows, we've always started at the top and work our way down, but we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up, and we'll
And
see
now
how
we're
far we
here.
get today. Yeah, exactly. And we got to start with it. I think this is we've seen and heard a lot of ridiculous things even since we started this podcast. But let's talk about this stupid idea. I don't even know who came up with it because I watched the council meetings. We're going to go through them. I have the notes. Who the fuck came up with the rain tax?
um,
The
you
city of
know,
Toronto is considering a stormwater charge and a water service, but I mean, it's a rain tax.
hmm.
Something about measuring people's roofs, seeing how much. Well, I don't know. Like if I was a homeowner, wouldn't I just go out to the street and cover the storm drains so no water gets down them, so I don't get charged any money? I mean, that's a good idea. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying perhaps that could save some tax.
You know, from a from an ideological standpoint, because of course that's where else am I going? I'm not a homeowner, so I can't object on those grounds. But like this is I kind of want to make a pro tax spiel here. The problem being is I think I actually don't understand well enough what the purpose of this rain tax is. If it's an issue with um the capacity of our sewer, but no, that doesn't make sense. We've had rain for I was gonna say rain for decades, as if rain is a brand new
I
thing. But
the way I understand it is the more rain we get, the more our sewer system or I don't exactly know how it works, but the more they work.
Matthew, I'm gonna let you be upset about this in the context of I don't have a good counterpoint because I don't understand it. So I'm
Well, here,
I don't want to condemn it because again, I am God as a I just said to you, hey, I'm not a homeowner, so blah blah it's not
well, you
affecting
see,
me.
okay, so I have 2 points I want to make, and you can object those points instead of coming at me on this one. Number one, this is what people were afraid of when we elected Olivia Chow. There's going to be a tax, and then another tax, and then another tax, and then another tax. And we're already in the lineup. This is the second in line of taxes. So that's one point. The second point is when it all boils down to it, for the homeowners, if they're renting, guess who the tax is going to get pushed to? The
The
renters.
renters. Yeah. No, you're correct. You're correct on that front. Um, and it's especially frustrating because again, I'm more talking about ideologically the ideological purpose of taxes as opposed to this particular tax. To your second point, which is, we live in a society and we have to collectively, in my opinion, we do owe each other this collective taking care of each other in the form of taxes. Again, I don't know about this particular tax because I don't understand it, and I feel like I say it as if it's like and I won't hear anyone tell me it's bad. No, that's not true. You can tell me it's bad and I will probably listen to you. um I only I have a counter to your first thing, but I'm worried it'll sound like it's not related. So bear with me for a moment. God, I promise you, we're sticking with municipal. Um, but I am going to talk about a particular. I'm going to call him a character. And in fact, I see this guy as one of the groups of potential federal CPC candidates who I think are going to make a very jokish government if we get a very CPC majority, which is of course what the polls are telling us we're going to get federally. I promise you, I'm going to bring it back federally. I promise.
You mean
We're getting there.
municipally?
Oh shit! Yeah, that is what I meant. uh, so his name is Wyatt Claypool, and he's seeking the conservative nomination for Calgary Signal Hill.
I
And
think I've heard of him.
as my starting point, before I say anything else about this guy, relatively young guy, I give a shout out to anyone who puts their name forward to run for political office because I think that's commendable. And there's a reason why I feel that way. Obviously, I did that, but like
Well,
there
well,
is.
well, except Ash and Fernando. Go on.
Oh, listen, we have our individuals, plenty of individuals I could say actually there's nothing great about you running for public office, but on principle, I appreciate anyone who puts their name forward in the pursuit of making in whatever capacity they want to make things better. So I'm gonna give them that positive shout out, followed by so, and this is sorry, I promise I am gonna bring it back municipally, but now I'm jumping to a provincial thing, which is um Alberta. Now you and we are not Albertans. I don't know about you, I know very little about Albertan culture, about what the deal is. But Wyatt Claypool had written this or posted this video with the thesis of these progressive mayors who ran on kind of centrist policies on lowering taxes, getting in, and then doing the opposite, raising taxes. So and the thesis of his video was based on Mayor Gondek from Calgary and Mayor Chow from Toronto. Our mayor Chow. Now, and here's my issue with his thesis. Olivia Chow did not run on lowering taxes. She very explicitly ran on raising taxes. I'm not this isn't really a counterpoint to what you're saying, Matthew. People can be for or against taxes. You know what? Actually, I realize I'm bringing up this story. It's completely unrelated to what you're saying because you're just talking about people's concerns. I'm talking about this other person completely misrepresenting what Olivia Chow said she would do. But my whole beef with Wyatt Claypool now, knowing what he presents Olivia Chow as, and here's the thing: Wyatt's not from Ontario. He's not from Toronto. He wasn't here for our mayoral election. But how can I trust someone's opinion on what the mayor of Calgary is doing if he's going to so viciously misrepresent what our mayor has said and done?
Are you talking about the former mayor who's running for NDP? We covered him last week. Um, Nenshi?
No, 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 no. The current mayor of Calgary,
Oh,
Jody. I think it's Jody Gondek. Gondek. Again, yeah. Uh, Albertans, please don't roast me. I'm trying my best. You elected her mayor, not me. But that's my the whole thing I'm just trying to say is actually again because it doesn't counter at all what you were saying, which was people have concerns about Olivia Chow raising taxes, and I'm talking about this other guy who just completely I think I just wanted to say my piece about Wyatt Claypool.
you know, I just want to say one thing real quick and we'll move on. I was following along on Twitter, which more and more, I say this every week, is becoming more of a bad habit. Thanks, Phil.
It is my fault. I listen. I'm not even going to push him back. This is on me.
So I saw one of the comments, because you click in the rain tax and you can read all the comments. And one person wrote, "What's next? An air tax?" I thought that was funny. Um, so let's move along. I have a couple of tweets from your political grandfather that I want you to
Gil?
hear. Yes, he
Ooh,
is the only one.
I know, but I still
So
ask every time.
he quote tweeted a tweet from Olivia Chow, our mayor, and I'm going to read her tweet and then I'll read his tweet. So she writes, this was March 26th. Pleased to see the provincial government making housing and infrastructure a priority in their budget. The only way out of our housing crisis is to build more affordable housing and complete communities with good roads, parks, and community centers. Her grammar's a little. Anyway. Um, Gil Penalosa quote tweeted her and said, "Disappointing to see Mayor Chow support Ford's Ontario budget that will destroy the green belt, paving way to Canada's largest sprawl. It does not prioritize housing, parks, community. She also failed to do political fight for Ontario Place Public Park, Gardner Boulevard." I don't know why he wrote that. Now this, sad. And Phil, it's time to filibuster. Your response to, I mean, you can respond to both Gil and Olivia Chow. Go ahead. The floor's yours.
You know what's very interesting is that the impression I got of the Ontario budget was that it wasn't very strong on building housing.
Well, we're going to
Unless
go through the highlights later in the show. So I promise you, we're going to do that. I just wanted to get your reaction to the tweets and see whose side does Phil fall on.
well, I mean, great. What's what's interesting is I get the impression that they're both sort of missing the mark.
What do you mean by that?
Where I'll get there, Matthew. I'm working on it. You know I'm a slow moving kind of guy when it comes to explaining myself. Where I didn't get the sense that the Ontario provincial budget, which again, if we go through some of the highlights, I could be wrong, but I didn't think there was too much. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I'm confusing it with Ford's announcement of their refusal to kind of upzone the province for fourplexes and stuff. So I wonder if that's my confusion why I think there isn't that much housing in the budget. Um Now Gil, here's what I'm gonna say for starters, what I appreciate from Gil. As we all remember, we expected Gil to run for mayor last year.
We had him on
And
the
it's
show. He said, "I'm going to run."
Isn't that fun? I love that. I love that for us, and I love that for Gil. And then he made what I believe to be a fairly selfless decision. And I say that because, Matthew, hypothetical thought. Olivia Chow is in the race. Gil Penalosa is in the race. Do you think do you think either of them win?
No,
Yeah, I feel like they split the vote with each other, right?
I think Anna Bailau's the mayor.
Yeah, no, yeah. Um so there's an element of I know you don't have to be politically loyal to, who you support in an election, but it is I think I appreciate this narrative from Gil because you have like kind of the standard bearers, Brian Lilly of Toronto Sun. I gotta stop bringing him up, but listen, we've all got our sore characters. Um, and there's a lot of people who will look for anything Olivia Chow does to demonize it. Now, I know that's not Gil. So you can really get the sense that this is strong criticism. I I think I'm more on. Here's the thing. I think ideologically, I agree with Gil that we shouldn't be celebrating the pathetic little pieces that the Ford government gives the city of Toronto, because he really does just like sprinkle crumbs and expect us to clap and be excited for Ford's premiership. On the other hand, I understand that Olivia Chow has to play the game. Like she has to, some days, she can be more honest about Doug Ford. I don't think in her role as mayor she can ever be truthfully fully honest about Doug Ford. And that's not just because I would say terrible things about Doug Ford in that position. But I think she's playing the game. And I'm not and to be honest, I'm not saying that as a good thing. I'm saying that mostly as a neutral thing. Actually, you know what? I don't like the game playing. I'm gonna say it as a negative thing. She's playing the game, and I understand why she feels the need to play the game. And of course, the game I'm referring to is playing nice. You know what I mean? Like they're professionals, they're leaders of their specific government.
The same game that Doug Ford plays with Justin Trudeau.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yes. Um, yeah. So I understand why she's playing that game. I'm not crazy about her playing that game.
So you side with Gil. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think I ultimately sided with Gil.
Awesome. All right, let's move along. One more tweet from Gil, from your political grandfather. He tweets, this is his tweet. It's not in a response to something else. But he's got pictures of a traffic accident, 3 pictures. And it says, again, traffic accident on street bordering High Park. What is City Councilor Perks and staff doing?
Ooh.
Nothing. People scared, injured, killed, and nothing. Max speed on all streets while bordering any park should be 30 kilometers per hour, 20 miles per hour. Enforced. Humps, road diet, speed cameras, all. Your thoughts?
You
I
know,
think.
before
Oh, no, you go first.
no,
You go.
before I give my thoughts, Matthew, I'm curious what you think.
You see, if I say I think he's going at it a little too hard, people are going to think, oh, that's just because Matthew loves his car and doesn't give a fuck about. No,
Matthew, I was honestly the thing I thought that would be directly that you'd be opposed to directly is the speed limit.
I don't mind the speed limit. I
I
can.
meant I mean this one in particular, the 30 kilometers per
Oh
hour.
no, no, there's 30 kilometers in a lot of parts of downtown. So,
Oh
I
yeah?
mean,
I
I
don't drive, everyone, just reminder, I don't drive. So if I say really, I am asking a real question.
no, I'm good with the speed. I think it should be a case by case basis, but I'd be open to looking at the speed limits surrounding parks. Absolutely, it's kind of like the cyclist thing. Not to delve too much into that, but it's like we have cyclist lanes already. It's just going to cost more money to get rid of them. They're there. Okay, we can coexist. Do I like it? No, I don't have to like it. Who the hell am I? It's about compromising. Do I want every street to be 30 kilometers an hour, even the main runs? No, absolutely not. I like to go fast, but I'm willing to compromise because I'm not willing. The only thing I'm not willing is to be without my car. I will not
Which,
bike.
by the way, no one is proposing.
By the way, I will not bike, not because I don't want to. It's because I physically can't. After about 5 minutes, my knees will cramp up, and because of the way I grip my steering wheel, when I grip the bike, my it'll be like I have a claw, right? And it's just not good for anyone. And then if I'm stuck somewhere, I have to get off the bike and then I have to walk it home, and nobody wants that because I'm. It's better if I keep my car. I'll just say that.
Fair. Fair enough. So would you say that your issue with Gil's tweet here is just that it sounds very harsh?
Yes, especially with Counselor Perks. He's one of the, not to say that there are not good ones, but he's one of the good ones.
Listen, we're allowed to say that there are some not good ones. That's uh, uh, we're an opinion podcast. We don't have to be so precious.
That's right. We don't have to be what's the word I'm looking for? Objective.
Yeah, no, we can just fuck it.
So
Michael
what do you
Thompson.
think? What do you think?
Um, you know what? What I, as you know, I love that I have to start with the spiel with a little bit of a, how do you do? Um, you're right. You you and I agree, and I'm sure Gil agrees too. Gord is a very solid counselor who, as far as I understand, is fairly receptive to his constituents. I feel like even when I was running for city council, I heard a lot of people talk about Hyde Park, the issues of Hyde Park. And I know back then we were talking about, Hyde Park going car free. That was kind of that thing. But there was all these elements of it's a bit of a bad situation around Hyde Park. So I understand. I'm not saying it's bad for Gil to call him out. In fact, the fact that we like Gord, um, I think it makes it as weird and almost counterintuitive as it sounds. That means it's more pressing for us to be critical of the people we like because we imagine that they're more likely to listen to us. Does that
Yeah.
am I off my asshole here?
No, no, I think you're good.
So I feel like in this case, people have been sort of talking about the issues around Hyde Park for a while. Obviously, that's not the entirety of his ward, but um, I don't. And in fact, I mean, the things Gil's Gil is suggesting, they're all things to be done. I don't know. If your question is who am I siding with, in terms of this, I would once again say Gil. I think it's good to, keep up the pressure even on counselors we like. I do feel like the situation is a little bit harder than because Gord isn't opposed to this stuff. He's not ideologically opposed to um reducing lanes, slowing cars down. He's not opposed to this stuff. So it does seem like it feels like it's a needless, harsh criticism.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move along. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Quick thoughts on the Young Dundas Square being renamed to Gord Downey Square instead of Sankofa Square.
Before we start, did you get it? Is this a thought experiment, or did you get got by a blog to April Fool's joke?
I'm sorry, was that April Fool's?
That's that's why the blog to April Fool's sucked because they presented them as policy that you could think was real, gave no indication that it was fake, except that they did it on April Fool's Day.
Maybe we should leave this out.
No, we keep no. Listen, I think it's fun. We keep it. Why do we, Matthew? Hypothetically, what do you think about a Gord Square?
Well, I'm not a Tragically Hip fan, but I would take it over because Gord Downey's Canadian, correct?
Absolutely, he's an icon.
Anyway, moving along. We got lots of stuff to cover.
So you didn't want to stick on that one?
No. Josh Matlow put out a tweet It says at the next council meeting, I will be moving a motion to replace curb lanes throughout Toronto with canals as a key part of a multi-model city. Canoes, kayaks, and gondolas will provide a fluid and enjoyable way to get around. Thank you, Stephen Holiday, for seconding the motion. This isn't an April Fool's thing as well, is it? I hope not.
Matthew,
I just keep
you
getting
listen.
got.
Don't take this out of the episode. It's so funny.
I just keep getting got.
And the what makes me laugh. Oh, he even added a clarification tweet where he adds that it was an April Fool's thing.
Oh
But
my God. Here we go.
Matthew, I wanted to say your biggest clue should have been him saying, "Thank you, Stephen Holiday, for seconding this motion."
That's right. Oh my God.
I'm excited. Uh Matthew, I need to know how many more April Fool's jokes we're gonna go through before.
No, I think that's it because now this unfortunately is a real thing that we're going to cover. I
Damn
know
it.
you saw it, and I know you probably have a lot of shit to say about it.
Ooh.
Let's talk about the Toronto police video on the subway of kicking
Oh,
the black guy. Four cops by my count. One of them was kicking, and then the other cop had to be like, enough, enough, and push him away.
it
That just sucked all the air out of the room.
what frustrates me about what frustrates me about my position, my anti-police position, is when they act poorly, it's not like I get a sick satisfaction of being right. You know what I mean? It's like, my experience with the police is they don't show up when you call. They're more actively harmful than they are helpful. And then these things happen, out of the blue. Imagine, Matthew, if no one recorded that, no one would have known that it happened. And it's just, people will see it, instead of seeing it as an issue with how we police, because these incidents happen constantly. Like, it's not, I wouldn't say daily, but they do happen frequently enough. And it just seems like there's never any consequences. We're going to head into the 2025 municipal budget, and there's going to be another fear-mongering campaign from the Toronto Police Union talking about how if we don't give them the next, whatever the amount is next year, 20 million, 25 million, if we don't get them over that top, the city's going to descend into chaos. Okay,
And
but then we give you $12.7 million to get to what you want, and then you're kicking people in the head. People who aren't wearing shoes. People who are so poor they can't have fucking shoes.
absolutely. And one of the main themes that I've heard, and I don't know if you saw it, but I was responding to people this week because they either don't know or don't, whatever, they don't know. And I basically said there are two reasons this shit keeps happening. Number one, I know you and I disagree on this, but we are understaffed of cops. 540 cops for a city of 3 million people is not enough.
Matthew, I'm not like, I disagree on the premise because I'm oppositional to policing, to the police. But as I've said previously, with the Marineland thing, that huge police budget, the part of it that I object to the least, except of course when it's being cheated, which I'm sure we'll talk about that with the Sunshine List thing. The thing I least object to when it comes to the police budget is the fact that it's salaries for people. This is, people need money to live. I do not object to that stuff. It's all the extra
Right.
bureaucracy that I'm like mostly opposed to.
Absolutely. And so the number one thing is that we have 540 cops for a city of 3 million people. That's the first problem. The second problem is because we only have 540 cops, every single officer, except for maybe the chief and the higher ups, I don't know, are doing double and triple overtime, which is why when you get a sunshine list, now we only have enough time today to cover the top 10. We are gonna in a future episode, like maybe the next episode, we're gonna go City of Toronto. We're gonna go like maybe top 50, and we'll
Ooh.
spend maybe the whole episode talking about it. But for now, I just want to cover the top 10 really quickly. Stop me if you have a comment. Uh shouldn't I'm gonna go
I
10
know that.
10 to 1. I'm gonna go
Oh,
10 to
good.
1.
Because I think
Okay.
I know who number one is, and that fucking sucks.
Number 10, Eileen Davila. Does she still work there?
You know what? That is surprising. Because
Three
keep in mind, Matthew, when you go through this list, you're not going to hit Olivia Chow, right?
Nope.
Yeah. I think it surprised me to learn that she makes more than the mayor.
That's fucked up.
Now, I might defend it in the context that I don't know how long she's been working in that capacity.
$343,232. I'm not going to say
That
the
is a
benefits. People can
that's a
look
lot
that
amount
up.
of money.
She's the medical officer of health for those who don't know. Number 9 on the list, Gary Downey, $343,725. City of Toronto, TTC Chief Capital Officer.
Oh my god, he's not. Oh my god.
Kind of sounds like you could put the CEO and the CCO's roles together and make one job. But anyway,
Kind of seems like his job is to give himself a lot of money.
next person, Paul Andrew Raftis, $348,971. City of Toronto Deputy Manager, Community and Social Services. Here's my issue. There's like on this list of 10, there's 3 deputy city managers. How many fucking deputy city managers do you need? That's what I'd
That's a
like to
good
know.
question.
It kind of sounds like it's a little bit of repeating, and we can merge some of these jobs and save some money for the city. Reducing the size and cost of government. I know this is unpopular. I didn't like it when it first started. I would have been okay with Doug Ford reducing Toronto Council if it wasn't during the election. I would have been okay with that. I don't like him. I'm not supporting him. It's not like I'm coming back as a conservative. That's not what's happening here. I'm just saying if it was outside of the election, I would have been cool with it. The fact that
You know
it
what?
happened during the election, that's what pissed everybody and me off.
I don't. Here's the thing. I think we are underrepresented with the amount of councils that we have. But I agree with you. In the context of if it were, you know, because we were in the middle of the 2018 election, let that election happen and then have a conversation about it. You know, talk about it, work with it. The fact that it was so rushed and clearly meant to be a middle finger to the city that wouldn't make him mayor.
Yeah, I think you might have it right here. Okay, quickly before we go to break. Number 7, Myron Dempkey, $353,412. City of
Chief of police.
Toronto Police Chief. Number 6, M. Josie Sholey, $360,183. City of Toronto Deputy City Manager, Corporate Services. I will finish the list when we get back, and so we will see you guys on the other side.